Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all the people who are watching the ICRF talk show webinar series. This is third of the series, which is today we are going to talk about uh, learning with COVID and the educational challenges. We have eminent personalities with us to talk about it today. So I have a great honor to welcome Meera Ravi, representing Salam Bahrain. And we are working this session with Salam Bahrain. Thank you very much, Salam Bahrain, for participating with ICRF and reaching to the community members. And welcome to Dr. Ravichandran, Pro Vice Chancellor from MGR University, Chennai, and Mr. V.R. Palaniswamy, everybody knows him, Principal of Indian School, and our man without no more introduction required, representing ICRF, and the Vice Chairman ICRF, Dr. Babu Ramachandran. So the detailed introduction, everything will be provided by Meera. Before that, I just want to briefly speak about ICRF, what we are currently doing during the COVID situations. As you know, you have seen many of the talk shows before. We have been actively involved with the community for the past 20 years under the Embassy of India, Bahrain, and we have been supporting the community over and over. But this time, last 3 months, you all know, the whole world is going through a difficult time. So obviously our work is multiplied. We don't know how many times is it, but it is too much of work we are putting through to support the community. And in that, we started with our food support scheme. We have supported over 10,000 people for 2 weeks of dry ration, and it's been going on for the last 2.5 months. We have 7 people answering the calls. We have 3 teams delivering foods daily, food material daily. So that's one of the activity. Then we started with our ICRF life activities, which is there for 2 years. But at this time, we know that a lot of people are finding it difficult to sustain at the same time emotional distress and depressions and all that. Under Dr. Babu, we have been doing activities on ICRF Life. He will explain it further. Then we have been also distributing reusable face mask and antibacterial soap. The first lot of it, like 10,000 of it, has been distributed across to different labor camps and also to different areas. And the second phase started yesterday. That's also been going on. At the same time, we started supporting ICRF flight mission, which means anybody who wants to go back to India and cannot afford to buy the tickets, we actually support them. The genuine request can come through ICRF volunteers to us. So far, we have supported over 30 people, and our intention is that to continue the support as much as possible till the pandemic comes to an end. So we will be there supporting even that. But only request is only genuine people should request for it. That you should really feel that I have not a single feel left to buy a ticket to go back to your hometown, meet your parents. We will be there to support you. Don't worry. But you should be genuine. That's all. Then we are also been doing family welfare fund, as you all know. Last 9 years, we have been supporting families who lose their life here if they're earning less than 100 BD. To the family member, the dependent, we are paying 1 lakh rupees. It's been going on for last 9 years. And so far, we have supported over 500 families, which means more than 5 crores of rupees we have remitted back to India through the support of the community members. And during the time of COVID itself, we have been continuing to support. In the month of March and April, we have supported 10 families. Now we are on the process of supporting another 8 families. So 18 lakh rupees is on the process of being sending to people who are really in need of support because they lost their breadwinner. So overall, these are the activities in general we are talking about. But if you talk about so many other things, even the mortuary body repatriation, medical support, anybody wants to do a MRI scan, they cannot really afford, just inform us, we will take care of the payments. And when you cannot really buy the medicine, you don't have money for it, please let us know. Either we will get it through the suppliers free of cost, otherwise we will pay and buy it for you. So we do all these activities, and all these activities done through the generous support of our sponsors and the community leaders. Thanks to each and every one of them. And the last of the series, as I said, the webinar series, it's been going on. This is the third of its kind. And once again, special thanks to Meera Madam and Salam Bahrain for associating with us. Now, I take a leave now and I give the complete control to Meera ji as the moderator today to take it forward, because you know a lot of parents, a lot of children are really waiting to hear from all the panel members. At the same time, we understand their difficulties, their depressions, or probably even anxiety to that level. I'm sure that Dr. Ravi, Mr. Palaniswamy, and Dr. Babu can really help them. Thank you so much once again, gentlemen and lady. From now onwards, Meera Ravi, ma'am.
Say
Good evening to everybody who has tuned in to this very valuable webinar. Special thanks, of course, to Dr. Ravichandran, who is joining us from India for this. Dr. Ravichandran comes to us with a vast fund of experience in the educational field. We also have with us Mr. Palani-Swamy, the principal of the Indian school, which, as we all know, is the largest single shift school in the region. And we have Dr. Babu, who will bring a completely different aspect of the education crisis that we are all facing in COVID times. Dr. Babu, in the run-up to this seminar, when we were talking, he was telling us how more and more parents and students are stressed out and facing different kind of crises, because obviously this whole thing has thrown the education system out of whack, and to suddenly scramble and find an alternative is not always effective, and also future plans are effective. In today's webinar, what we hope to do is first go to the principal of the Indian School, Bahrain, Mr. Palani-Swamy, who will give us an idea briefly of the ground reality of what's happening in Bahrain. What is it that students and parents are grappling with in Bahrain, and how they are facing these issues. We will build on that with Dr. Babu's comments on what he is seeing from parents and students as reaction to the stress of the COVID education system, as we call it. And then we will get an overarching view from our key speaker, Dr. Ravichandran, who will be able to guide us on what to expect in the days ahead, how parents and students can plan what to do next, and what are the valuable things that we should keep in mind for the future. So without further ado, let me invite Mr. Palani-Swamy to please address us.
Thank you, Madam Meera Ravi. Dear children, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to one and all. My sincere prayers for the health and safety of every one of us. We are placed in a very difficult situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic has affected, of course, all walks of human race, not sparing the system of education, the regular system of education also. The ground reality is that it has interrupted to such an extent that the students around the globe are stuck at home. There is no other option in front of the educational institutions to switch over quickly to an alternate system, if not to replace perfectly, at least to cope up the situation, the online education, the online teaching learning process has come into practice. It is a compulsion, thanks to the technology. Some of the institutions, they have started online classes. Some institutions have started virtual learning program, just uploading the pre-recorded videos. And of course, the higher education institutions are opting for the distance learning program by uploading the study materials and promoting the self-learning, which is suitable for the higher education. Yes, now teaching learning got shifted from school to home. Regular classes are replaced by online classes. Classrooms are shifted to the rooms in the houses. All the prohibited gadgets have become essentials. Till March, all the school officials and the educational institution authorities were very vigilant to ensure that the children are not possessing any of these electronic gadgets. But now we are forcing them to have it and use it. So this is where
That
the situation has changed.
That's
All the
technology.
prohibited gadgets have become essentials. Now these blackboards and whiteboards got converted into digital boards. Peer group learning is totally lost. Children are forced to learn by self. Parents have become supervisors and inspectors. This is the real situation where we are placed now. Of course, there are alternate arrangements. Will really help these alternate arrangements, or will all these alternate arrangements replace the real regular education system of teaching learning? To understand this, we have to see the purpose of regular education system. Let me confine to only the school education system. Regarding the higher education, Dr. Ravichandran will throw some insights on it. The school education system has three components of teaching learning process. Number one, imparting the knowledge from the curriculum to the children, to the students. Number two, instilling and honing the skills, academic skills, life skills, etc., etc. And third one is the very important one, the character formation. In my opinion, the character formation takes a perfect shape in the schools and in the early childhood during the school days. Therefore, when we talk about all these replacements, as I indicated now, to what extent these alternate arrangements will have impact on the three components of the objectives of the school. To answer this, definitely the first component of teaching learning process is achieved to a maximum extent, maybe 75 to 80%. That means imparting the knowledge which is indicated in the curriculum through online teaching is successful, subject to the perfect teaching learning is supported by the digital platform. Of course, the sincerity in learning, in attending the classes by the children, and of course the parental support. Now, it is really encouraging that in our personal experience, we got good attendance. Almost close to 100% attendance is there for the online classes. Means the children and the parents got convinced that there are no other options in front of us other than getting adjusted to what we get. Now, when it comes to the skill development and of course the character formation, can these online classes contribute much? It's a big question. Certain skills definitely can be imparted through online platform, whereas certain skills comes through the direct contact, direct participation. And therefore, definitely there is a gap in teaching learning process. And next one is character formation. The child tests his character when he mingles with the peer group. So therefore, I'm just using the word carefully, that child tests his character. The real character in a child comes out when he is in a peer group, when he reacts to the activities of the peer group. And therefore, is such a platform, is such an opportunity provided to the child through online education system? It is another question.
You know,
So they,
this is so true, Mr. Palaniswamy, because I think from what you say, we begin to understand that although digital learning is what we have gone to now as a stopgap arrangement during the
I'll
pandemic,
come to that. No, I'm coming to it. I'm coming to
it
it.
cannot replace the physical space of the school.
Yes, yes, I'm coming to that. So therefore,
It cannot be.
since there are three major components of the school education system, we achieve 80 to maybe maximum 80 to 90% in imparting knowledge, skill development to some extent, character formation to some extent. So therefore, there is a gap created, and therefore, either we go for stick on to the digital e-learning or switching over to the regular classes. We must ensure that all these three components are looked into and balanced. So therefore, the digital system, the e-learning platform helps all of us to, or otherwise I'll put it this way, maybe for the other two aspects also, there are lots of provisions available where the educationists, the teachers and parents, all of us jointly should explore and ensure that these facilities are also provided to the children, so that the holistic development is taking place in children through the teaching learning process. This is my personal view on the entire education system now. Now, let me come to the current situation in Bahrain. Let me confine to that. Now, I can compare the situation in Bahrain with the few places or few states, I can say, of our home country. I indicated just now that the attendance for digital learning or e-learning is almost close to 100%, particularly in the senior classes, and of course, definitely close to 95% in all the other classes. Means that we are here in Bahrain equipped with the basic facilities. May not be high tech, but at least the basic facilities are available for us to
Exactly.
continue with the learning. Whereas it is not the situation, to my knowledge, I don't know because I cannot say authentically, but I can say authentically in Bahrain that at least we are equipped with the basic facilities to continue the e-learning. When we started, you all know that the Indian education system, the academic year ends in March. Of course, in India, the new academic year starts in June, whereas in Bahrain, we start immediately because July, August is summer holidays for us. So therefore, we have to start our academic year in the beginning of April. So exactly when this pandemic was declared. So therefore, there is no time for the school to ensure and establish the infrastructure to go for digital learning. There is no time in front of the teachers to get themselves equipped to continue with the digital education or to start with the digital education. And of course, students and parents are definitely have no clue about how the schools are going to organize the digital learning program. So this was a big challenge in front of all of us. Salute to all the teachers of teaching community, all the IT professionals, all the parents and all the children together. They rose up to the occasion. Now we have concluded our first session of our academic year 2021 with a very, very satisfactory note of at least covering up to 35 to 40% of the courses, which means that the hard work jointly put together by the teachers, IT team, management, parents, and students definitely have helped us. Again, I'm not talking about the quality. When it comes to the quality, definitely, as I told you, it all depends on the dedicated services and the commitment of the teachers, and of course, the sincerity shown by the students in learning. These two are the key factor now here. So therefore, anyway, what I want to finally conclude is that nothing is a challenge in front of human resources. Human race have definitely should have faced the pandemic situations, either similar to this, even worse than this, but the human race has come out with all those challenges, and every challenge has been converted into opportunities, and it bounced back with full vigor and energy. I'm very sure, definitely, the human race will defeat this pandemic situation and come out successfully to ensure that everything developed by the human as of now is intact and is taken to the next level. In my opinion, if everything goes well, definitely everything will go well. When everything goes well, we are given a lesson to have always a plan B ready for anything, and therefore it will be emerging that the regular education system and the online learning will get merged, supplementing each other. So therefore, let us be prepared. Let us be prepared to balance both e-learning and also to learn from the regular education system. Of
Thank
course, I
you
think
so
I'm
much.
taking long. Of course, I'm taking long time. Anyway, I've given out my thoughts on about the current situation and hoping that everything will go well. And I wish each and every child listening to it have full confidence in the human resources, and in you, everything will fall in line and we will succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paniswamy. That was a valuable insight, and you're very right. Technology came to the rescue of a critical situation, but it can never replace the learning experience that students get in the physical space of the school. I'd like to go to Dr. Babu Ramachandran next. And Dr. Babu, to start you off, there is a question that we have got. This is a question from somebody who identifies as Polar AC. It says, how can parents help children to develop their personal skills and help them cope with emotional stress of being at home almost more than 3 months now? Before I move to Dr. Babu, I just want to remind all those who have tuned in that you can post your questions on the ICRF Facebook page where you can be seeing this live, and you can post it on the Salam Barin Facebook page as well. And your questions will be taken by our experts. Dr. Babu, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Meera. It's really good to be in the midst of so many wonderful dignitaries here. And I was listening carefully to the wise words of Mr. Palaniswamy, sir, of the Indian school. Yes. My view, before I go into my personal views or the views of how the psychological aspect is to be looked into, let me just spend a few seconds on what ICRF Life is about, because that's what I am representing. In 2017, the Indian Community Relief Fund came up with this called ICRF Life, which is listen, involve, foster, and engage. That is, we wanted to give a support system to, basically it was started targeting the students. to listen to their problems, to involve them in meaningful activities, foster a relationship with them, and engage them in a way that they come back to the mainstream. Because there are many, many cases, I don't want to label it as depression, of psychological disturbances or confusion. Because in the rat race of survival, as Mira, you rightly know, being so well into the media, the amount of tension that is there. A child in the first standard has got attention, and over and above that, the parents are burdened with much more tension. I've seen a parent, just incidentally to say, who came and the wife was telling, my husband has not slept for 1 week, there's an examination. And I asked, okay, sir, what examination are you taking? Is it something to do with your professional development? And he said, no, it's my child. I'm worried about that examination. I asked, which class is he in? And he said, the child is in grade 2. So a child in grade 2, the parent is so tensed up. I don't blame them because expectations on the rise. Everyone wants to make their children to higher level to say that they reach their goal. So all this got us thinking, and we felt that we need to target them with something as a psychological support. And it was a 3-pronged approach which was formed. 1, towards the students, 2nd, the parents, and 3rd, the teachers. With professional psychologists, we managed to train a lot of teachers into what you mean by how you can approach problems. It was a wonderful discussion, a couple of sessions that we had, and we also had a couple of sessions for the open community. And when life took on, ICRF life took on, from students, it graduated to being a source of support for the adults as well, because we see a lot of cases of depression as well, and we need to tackle them. And we have a helpline, a 24-hour helpline where people can call us and get some psychological support. This is the basic intention of ICRF Life. In today's pandemic era, the problems confronting the parents and students are on different wavelength. 1 year back, who would have thought that we would be sitting at different places on the globe discussing about education?
Very true.
Whoever would have thought this would be there? If you look at the field of medicine also, instead of one-to-one contact, now telehealth is going to take the upper hand in the next few years. It has been there in many places. But mankind is resilient. We have got the human resilience to come back from wherever we are and then bounce back to life. And we are into that reality. Looking into the problems of the students, let me just highlight some students, or many of them, we feel that, okay, by October, November, they think, I can do well in the final examination. And like a bolt from the blue, the pandemic comes in and guidelines are made that how they have fared in the past 9 months is going to determine the future. What a blow to the students who are planning to do better and better. Confused parents who thought that, okay, if they have not done in the first term, I can do it well in the 3rd term. They were also totally taken aback. And all this is creating a lot of confusion on how to address this issue, which I'm sure Dr. Ravi Chandra and Palniswamy will definitely touch light upon. Then another thing I noted was parents who had, there were some parents who might have planned to send their children for higher education to foreign universities. Now, all that is at a standstill. Children finishing 12th, hey, they want to go to the US, to Australia, to many places. What do we do now? They never even thought of India as a second line, but now they are forced to think, where do we go from here? Is postgraduate training or higher education going to be online for the next 2 years? So this present generation of students and parents who are going through this pandemic is really critical, because the way we work together as a team and we bounce back is what is going to really show the way forward. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We will get over it. This world has seen 2 world wars, we came out of it. We have seen several pandemics, we came out of it. Similarly, we will come out of this. And I won't take much time, just 2 more minutes more before I hand it back to you, Meera, just to say about the character formation. That's very important. That happens in school. Earlier, parents could just send their children to school and put maybe 60% of the blame on the teachers in somewhere, not blame. They would say, if the child doesn't get married, it's because of you teachers, because you are not training them properly. With due respect to teachers, I'm also a parent. I would say, hey, you're spending so much time in school and still, if there's something wrong in the way you move, what's the teacher's fault? I'm sure Palaniaswamy sir will agree to it. Now, the onus is on the parents. And it's there they have to build the character. They have to be role models for the children. And regarding the question about tackling the emotional aspect of it and how they can cope with children who have been locked up in their house for so long. Dear parents, my advice to you, adapt. The adaptability is important. Try to overcome this by instilling in your children that everything is not lost. Have a positive approach. Because how you feed your children with emotions is what they are going to learn since they are confined to the four walls of the house. So instill in them the positive aspect of this pandemic. Tell them that they are going to be the torchbearers of the future. Give them that responsibility. Tell them what the culture is. Tell them that we need to work together as a team and try to bring more skills into what they already have. This will help them to metamorphose into better individuals, though we don't have that personal touch. That personal touch will come later. I would have loved to sit with all of you together over a cup of coffee and discuss, but now that's not there. But we should adapt, and that adaptability is what is important. Thank you, Meera.
Thank you so much, Doctor. In fact, one of the things that I would like to point out before we go to Dr. Ravichandran, and in fact, this is something that I'm sure we'll hear from Dr. Ravichandran also, is that things have changed so much in this one academic year that Dr. Ravichandran and I were discussing yesterday that children who are in class 10 this year, for example, or in class 9, by the time they finish their education and are prepared for the workplace itself has changed. And the parents who are urging their children to go for engineering and IT and medicine and all those traditional roles will find that it only leads to lesser chances of employment for their children. And so there seems to be an expert opinion that vocational training will find more traction in the days ahead, because if anything, these days when we don't have access to masons and plumbers and electricians that easily, has showed us how important it is that we have access to these kind of building block skills. And that is also going to be something that the workplace of the future will see. What we'd like to know, and this is something that one of our listeners, Shipra Pasi, has asked, is what about the future uncertainty for kids who couldn't give their GCSE or A-level or IB board examinations and whose university admissions have been affected? What happens to them, and how do they plan for the future? How do the parents help them plan for the future? Now, that is what we are going to hear from Dr. Ravichandran. Doctor, we are eagerly waiting to hear from you what you have to say about how parents and children can plan for the immediate future given the COVID education situation. Doctor.
Thank you, Meera-ji. Are you hearing me?
Yes, yes, we are clearly
okay.
hearing you.
Thank you. And thanks for the organizers who had invited me for this important session, particularly a difficult time what the entire world is facing. It is really a difficult time, and most importantly in the education sector. The pandemic current situation has not only disturbed the ordinary human being and in ordinary other things, particularly the school education and that too higher education enormously. And which affects the country's economic future also, every country's economic future also. If I say the larger number of students, particularly from the Indian side, I can say second only to China, enroll themselves to abroad universities. The countries worstly affected by the pandemic, that is US, UK, Australia, and even the China. Many such students have now been barred from leaving these countries. If the situation persists in the long run, a decline in demand for international higher education is definitely foreseen. It's very clear. Because in this unforeseen current situation, anything is uncertain now as on today. Particularly the questions raised by some parents and raised by you, one or two questions raised by you yesterday, and today morning I've received it. The thing is, even the governments, the Union Government of India, the state governments in India, they couldn't finalize anything concretely as on today. I can say that online has become a default mode of education during this particular 3 months prolonged long time lockdown in the wake of COVID-19. What does this mean for the institutions and academic colleges, schools, universities, administrators, and the students in the long run is getting clear. I can say firmly that COVID-19 pandemic is set to change the world sooner than we know. The way our government, institutions, organizations, and the people think and function will radically change perhaps for a long run. No other go, because we do not know where is the end as on today. As on today, we do not know where is the end. Even the union governments are telling that some date they are fixing. Maybe even if you take example for the national level NEET examination for entering into the graduate medical and graduate postgraduate medical. Luckily, the postgraduate medical admissions are almost, examinations was over and the admissions are on now. The first round of counseling by the MCC DGHS, Government of India, second round of counseling got over. But the state counseling is yet to get over. Even for the PG admissions, I'm talking about medical. If we talk about the NEET UG examination, it has not yet been finalized, and yesterday tentatively the union government has announced that it may fall on September 13th. And even Mr. Palnisamy and everybody, the parents and you may be knowing that the Central Board of Secondary Education Government of India has announced to withdraw the examinations which are not been conducted in so many states. Then the question is raised that how the equality may come, because in Tamil Nadu, almost all the examinations are got over, with the exception of one or exception of some practicals. In some western Indian states, all are due. In Maharashtra, 2 or 3 examinations are pending. If they are going to cancel the examination, then how we are going to equate? So everything is in dark. Totally we are in dark. So I'm not exaggerating the situation, but this is the real situation, what particularly with relating to education sector. So I saw today the online education has given a big hand to us. We are just now managing the thing. We are managing things as Mr. Palnisamy has conveyed, thanks to the technology. As these kinds of gadgets, we used to, we don't encourage in the schools and college level. Even Anna University so-called very leading university in Tamil Nadu, the Technological University, as it's not permitting the cell phone in the campus. But now, only with the cell phone that we are now teaching, learning, everything is happening with cell phone and iPad. So that is the situation now. So no other go, but how long it will go? So with relating to examination, with relating to admission of so many parents, they may be having in their mind. What about after 10th, how to do with the next 2 years? And after the +2, how to go with that? So as on today, either the union government nor the state governments in India had decided anything about the next year admissions. Of course, I can say from Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Nadu Ministry of Education had now finalized that to tentatively, maybe some 2 days back, that they are going to have a single window admissions even for the arts and science colleges, like the engineering colleges, by online only. Medical admissions through NEET, no other go. It's very, very clearly, everybody knows about it. But about engineering, everybody knows that in Tamil Nadu and almost in all the other states also, they are following the single window admission system. But when they'll be conducting it? Because in Tamil Nadu, the state examination, board examination results will be published most probably by maybe another 1 week or 10 days. Even the CBSE results, as per Palanisamy, he told just now, that it may come after a week or 10 days. It's not clear on that, because they have to equate certain weightages, because without weightage, they cannot totally declare the results. Even with the weightage, and if they publish the results, then how they're going to have the admissions? That's the most important thing. So even admissions are also online. But definitely, according to my presumption and assumption, it may take maybe the full of July, they have to lapse, and most probably August, mid of August, I think the admissions for engineering colleges and as well for the arts and science colleges in the state of Tamil Nadu and as well in the neighboring states, that they may get into the thing, and the students may approach the concerned agencies for that particular thing, for getting into admissions, either into engineering college, particularly the Maharashtra. It totally got affected. The first state which got affected in India is Maharashtra. Next is Tamil Nadu. Third one is Delhi. So only these major cities, particularly from students from Gulf, they are coming down to either Pune or Mumbai or Tamil Nadu or Delhi or nearby Delhi. Only these four or five places, it is totally concentrated, and totally nil activities are there. We are expecting that even the day after tomorrow's fifth or sixth lockdown will be continued, because today evening our chief minister got announced that in Madurai they have extended the thing for another 1 week. I mean, full lockdown. So every day the situation is changing, and as on today, I'm expecting, and we are expecting, that admission will go up to maybe even for the PG admissions in medical, the DGHS, MCC, Medical Council of India, Dental Council of India, they got a special permission from the Supreme Court of India that because the June 30th is the last date for submission of the final list to the Supreme Court. And now they applied, they submitted an affidavit, and they got an extension up to 30th of August to complete the PG admission courses in India. So like the same, they'll do it for UG admissions also, UG medical admissions also, and UG engineering admissions also, and UG arts and sciences also. So everything will be postponed, and the admissions will start only by the first week of August, and all the parents are requested to just get in touch with all these agencies so that they can apply online, and they can get their admissions. If anything doubt, they can ask us.
Dr. Ravichandran, one of the questions that we'd like to ask you pertains to students in the Gulf, and specifically in Bahrain. Maybe this is something that even Mr. Palanisamy can shed light. One of the listeners is asking, what happens to students who are in the 12th and cannot go to India for their higher education because there is no, there is no international flights now, unless you go for the Vande Bharat flights, which is not the option we are looking at. And as you mentioned, Dr. Ravichandran, we are not sure yet about entrance exams and when universities and institutions of higher learning will start accepting students. So what is the future for these class 12 students? Do they have to look at online education options in universities in other countries? Or is the Indian system tuned enough to online education at university and college level?
Of course, Miraji. Almost all the higher education institutions in the country, starting from IIT and starting from state universities, deemed universities, and even the colleges, the so-called colleges affiliated to the state universities and central universities. All the institutions, higher education institutions, they have started the online system of education. All the universities, particularly even in our university, MGR deemed university, we have completed 100% syllabus, which have to be covered up to till maybe 31st of March or 30th of April. We have completed the syllabus because we started in the month of February itself by imparting the total classroom teaching. We are converted into virtual classroom, and we started doing things. And as Mr. Palaniswamy has conveyed that 100% attendance is possible, maybe with the parents and the students in the states like Bahrain, in the countries like Bahrain, and the students can able to afford for some the technological things and other things. But I can say, even in India, even in our university, because in higher education, the ordinary attendance percentage usually goes between maybe 70 to 80%, not be above that. It was surprise to us after we started imparting the education through online. It was surprise to us that we achieved 90 to 95%. It is not almost, it's equivalent to almost 10%. We are wondering then anyhow, the students are willing to take part in this new kind of imparting thing, and because always every student will like to go get into the WhatsApp or whatever may be the kind of thing.
Yes.
Instead of now is being diverted to social media, now is being diverted to get into the classroom and listen something else, which he cannot sit in the classroom regularly, a traditional classroom or a traditional lecture. Luckily, the pandemic also it helps our students, particularly the Indian students, to transform from this end to that end. Okay. Now your question is, how the students and parents have to go about at this pandemic situation, particularly the parents and students of 12th. Okay, good. Now the thing is, the entrance examinations is pending, particularly for UG, so UG medical, and the entrance examination for IITs, NITs, all are pending. Now the MHRD is thinking on that particular issue that they'll be deciding it soon. So in that case, definitely up to this academic year. So this academic year totally, last academic year, almost it got over. This academic year, even last week, so 3 days back, the University Grants Commission of India had announced that all the colleges, universities, they have to start functioning from 15th September of 2020. So that previously they have announced 15th August.
Yes.
Then they put 31st August. Now they extended up to 15th of September. Even that we do not know. That's why even the NEET examination got postponed to 13th of September. So now definitely the entrance examination, because if we have some kind of filtration, like entrance examination or group discussion or whatever may be thing, without that it's very difficult for any university, including NITs, IITs, they cannot. So what MHRD, particularly our Minister for Higher Education, Ramesh Pokhriyal, he's saying that the academic year calendar will be slightly be shifted. Maybe as he says that instead of our academic year starts only by July in India. July to maybe April, May. So instead of July, it may go maybe up to September or even October for this year. Then next year, it may start by August to again next August or June. So the period affected in this academic year will be totally distributed for another 3 to 4 years, according to current situation. Even the MHRD or UGC is telling cut short your syllabus, revise your syllabus, revise your pedagogy. Totally what is required for a student at the first year level or second year level or third year level, confined to that. Cut short according to the situation. That's what everybody we are doing now. So in that case, the admissions we are expecting by even the 12th standard students and parents have to wait till maybe end of July. Definitely the entrance examinations and other things the government of India or even the other agencies will be conducting. And everybody we are expecting that when it will be we are going to cross this particular period. Maybe because the research in India, it says that the peak situation may be coming in October, and from November everything will be fine. So even if it takes maybe even if we go to the worst situation up to December or January, so this year definitely there will be an issue. There will be a shift in totally cut short in trimming of syllabus.
Parents have to expect that there will be delays. The year will begin, but nobody knows when.
May I ask a question to Mr. Ravichandran?
Please, yes, Dr. Babu.
Sir, I have got one concern which is raised by parents in Bahrain. I'm confining myself to Bahrain. Because a lot of students plan to go back to India for their, let's say, PG and UG, like for higher universities in India. But will the government of India policy take a wider view so that they understand the concerns of expatriates around the world who are trying to make a beeline for India for their education? Will they take all these into consideration before announcing dates? Because as Meera rightly pointed out, we don't know when the flights are going to start. And parents are concerned. Will it be an arbitrary decision? Of course, I know we cannot say for sure. But will they take a decision based on the needs of the students? Because there are thousands and thousands of students abroad. And for them right now, Indians, they're looking at India. What can we do about that?
Absolutely, Dr. Babu. You're referring only the students at Bahrain. I am talking generally, like the same, the students in India, they are going abroad to UK, Australia, US, and it is the same situation for the students here also. Is it not? So they are also waiting for their admission in US, UK, Australia, and other places. They're waiting for the international flights to start. And so it's a universal global situation, a global pandemic current situation. Nobody can answer for this, but every government definitely will consider the issues, because it is not an issue for Bahrain only or India only or concerned country only. It's a global issue. It's a global pandemic situation. Every country is facing. UK is facing, vastly affected. Australia is facing. US is totally got affected. So how can we imagine what the US government is going to say, or Indian government? Definitely every government and every institution wants to get the students from abroad. There are some percentage also, actually the government of India has given for that. Percentage 15% or 20% from abroad, students from abroad. So it is a sizable percentage. So definitely all the agencies, including the government, will wait for that. They won't definitely, because if we do in the different one way, definitely the other governments, maybe UK government, maybe USA government, and maybe other governments has to reciprocate our thing. So it's a total pandemic situation globally, and we expect the good things will happen, good things to happen, and definitely these things will be considered by either by the state governments or by the union government also. No doubt about it.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question addressed to, I think this comes in Dr. Babu's domain, Doctor. There is a question on the Salam Bahrain page from Jennifer Broad. She asks, are softer skills more important for younger children than textbook education? And what soft skills should they be taught? I think this was addressed in a way by Mr. Palaniswamy in his earlier
Yes,
talk,
yes.
where he said character building was so important, and the school's physical space and working with your peers and working in groups, the discipline of the classroom, all that is what comes under soft skills. Now, Dr. Babu, tell us how parents can replicate that in the home atmosphere, the home environment. Also, the same person asks, for the older children, how do we help them manage their anxiety over the future, and how can parents and teachers help?
Thank you, Meera. Very, very relevant questions which many parents have asked me also over the past several months, 2 or 3 months. Because the skills training, as Mr. Palaniswamy rightly said, you see that character building, telling students that parents be role models, because earlier you could afford to send your children and get multiple input from different personalities on how to carry about their life. But now in this era of social distancing, the focus is entirely on the parents in their house. And so the parents need to be role models, train the children on what is right. It's a big pressure on the parents in some ways, because they have to be not only a parent,
on their best
have to be
behavior.
A guide. Yes, they have to be a guide. They have to be a philosopher. They have to be a teacher. Thus, the responsibility is very much, and it's only natural that parents might even blow their top at times. But the children should understand that the situation they are going through, and train them, the parents, the softer skills, which I would say are soft skills, I would say are making them better individuals. The only thing which is certain today is that nothing is certain. That is the certainty today. Nothing is certain. And we are going through a phase which I would call as a disruptive innovation. We have to break and build. What we thought last year, dear parents, is not what we are looking at now. So adapt yourself and give a positive note to the children. Tell them that all is not lost. Because if you parents become negative, that will reflect on the children who have no other avenues outside other than communicating with their peers on social media. And that will bring a wrong influence. So tell them, guide them, and always have a positive note. Health aspects, people are worried. I don't want to touch upon that, which is a very big field, but you don't have to really worry about the COVID pandemic aspect, because it will pass. We need to follow the guidelines to see that we come out healthier in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we are coming to the end of the session, but last question to Mr. Palaniswamy.
Yes.
We have been speaking so much about students and syllabus and the future for the students and how parents are coping. Mr. Palaniswamy, tell us how the teachers have been facing the stress, because suddenly shifting the whole education system to your laptop and trying to deliver quality to the children and controlling the children on a digital screen is a tall order. And how have they coped? And in the educational institutions like the Indian School Bahrain, for example, will the future see modules of training for the teachers that will put them in a better position to cope with this kind of ongoing future digital education?
Thank you. Very relevant question, madam. Now, let me rephrase the question. There is nobody called teacher. Everybody is a learner, and a teacher is a true learner.
Because
This
learning
I can
is a
vouch
continuous
it with
process.
my 35 years of experience as a teacher. Even if I want to take a class now, I make myself very clear that I go with the accurate information to be delivered. And therefore, there is a learner in every teacher. And that learner in every teacher is very aggressive when the need arises. That is what we experienced during this pandemic situation. Not even a single teacher went to the backbench saying that I can't learn this. Each and every teacher rose to the occasion. They got, see, actually, in fact, we announced that the online classes will start from April. And hardly 10 to 15 days were left in front of them. So they have to get used to, they have to learn about the technology. They used to get used to handle the gadgets, and they must be prepared to prepare the contents, and also very importantly, they must train themselves to appear in front of the camera, go public visually, and also they have to present the contents which is watched by anyone and everyone.
Correct.
And therefore, the learner in every teacher has helped them, and therefore it is not necessary that a specific importance or specific question to doubt about the integrity of the teacher can be raised. And therefore, every teacher is on his or on her to update themselves and stand in front of the children as masters, real masters. I think this clears the doubts in the minds of the children and the parents.
You're right, Mr. Pallisamy.
Yeah.
You're right. And I reiterate the Pallisamy statement that learning is a continuous process. Again underline, learning is a continuous process. Whether there is no bar for learning the age or whatever may be the degrees, the university's highest degrees, whether it is in arts, science, or medicine, whatever it may be. Always learning is a continuous process, and as he rightly said, whatever the changes comes, particularly the teacher has to adopt. Not only the teacher, everybody has to adopt. And as special case, as we are the teachers, definitely we have to adopt for that the new pedagogy, new technologies, new things, whatever it may come. Only if we learn the new things, it will be just given to the students and as well to the parents. Thank you very much.
Mira, can I just add on something?
Doctor, I'm going to come to you for one final word from you, actually, because somebody has asked something. But before that, I just want to quickly sum up and say that this has been such a productive webinar for parents and students and teachers who have been listening in. And in conclusion, I think we can safely say that the inputs of Dr. Ravichandran show us that all over the world, the education system is still coming to grips with what the future holds.
Absolutely.
There is no government, no university, and no system that has said, yes, we've cracked the code and this is what we are doing, and on this day in August we are going to open. There is no such certainty anymore. So all of us are coping. So those parents who have asked us, and quite a few have, that what do we do with our children who haven't been able to appear for this board exam, or don't know what the future holds because they haven't done their IB fully. To all of you, I think this webinar will say that hang on there. There will be a solution. The solution is not far off, because I think, Dr. Ravichandran, if I'm not mistaken, to summarize what you said, the global education system is going to recalibrate itself. And
absolutely.
This recalibration is going to take place starting from perhaps this September or October, when the new term may begin despite the pandemic. And going forward, it'll be like a rollover effect where we see, this happening. Isn't it right?
Absolutely.
Yes. And as Mr. Paniswamy said, teachers are the new students, and we can expect to see a dynamic shift in the education system at school level. And definitely, parents and teachers have to be more engaged in what the children are studying. Parents can no longer just outsource the education to the system and say, as Dr. Babu said, it's your teacher's fault you're not doing well. You have to be there, you have to be hands-on, because that's where you come in as a parent. And teachers are going to be learning more and more. And I'm sure in the coming months, when students go back to their virtual classrooms or to their regular classrooms, they're going to see improvements in how knowledge is delivered. The big challenge in front of us, as Mr. Paniswamy pointed out, is how are we going to make the physical space of the school and the peer learning of the school, how are we going to replicate it in the homes? That is going to be the big challenge going forward. Dr. Babu, coming to you, one question that a parent has asked is, will there be counseling sessions available for parents and teachers? And I want you to just talk about counseling sessions of life as closing remarks for this session.
Thank you, Mira. First and foremost, in my concluding remarks, what I would like to say is a big salute to all the teachers out there in Bahrain and abroad, because it's a great challenge they're going through. From a place where just 40 pairs of eyes were watching them, now 400 pairs of eyes are watching them critically. Any wrong move on the part of a teacher is noted and recorded also. So you can imagine the tension on the teacher's mind when they sit before a camera, when they're giving classes, and the health aspect. Back pains, many people come sitting for long hours, working at the computer, where they cannot even get up and go, or they cannot move around. And they're teaching an audience whom they cannot see.
Yes.
They'll just be teaching as though they're teaching to the camera. And that will take the sheen out of wonderful education. But we have to adjust to the health aspect. The teachers, as Palaniswamy and Mr. Ravicharan specifically said, they are learners, and they have adapted very well to the circumstances. Regarding counseling sessions, you see, ICRF Life is always ready to take individual calls. We have our numbers posted on our ICRF webpage, where they can call us, and on an individual basis, there are people who can see them. I personally see many of them. It's not for fees or anything. It's a totally free thing, which we do. We interact with them, and if necessary, send them further for some professional psychological advice, as the case may be. And there's also been some move where some teachers wanted to get together and have a Zoom meeting on how they can overcome the psychological aspects and interactive sessions, which again ICRF Life will be planning. The same thing can be done for parents as well, and students too in the higher classes. So we can have a panel having discussion on these very interactive way. So feel free to contact ICRF Live. We are there as a shoulder to cry on, and the media support is awesome in all this. Mira, especially, you have been a pillar of support right from the inception or even before ICRF Live started. And I should like Palaniswamy sir, very close to me. I know him so well. The soft-spoken person, the way he has put forward in perspective this is amazing. Ravi sir, you have really given a broad outlook on the global aspect. And I personally have learned quite a lot from the way education is going to change from today to tomorrow. Thank you, Mira.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm sure this has been really useful to everybody. And for those of you who have unfortunately tuned in just now towards the end, this webinar will be available on the ICRF Facebook page and on the Salam Bahrain Facebook page, as well as on YouTube on ICRF. So please feel free to go back and check it out. There are some really useful information. There is some really useful information there for all of us to help us in planning the future of our bright stars at home. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.